Hypos, they suck. Hi, yes, I'm back. No sunglasses today, no sunshine. What I want to talk about is hypos, and if you are not a type 1, you won't know what a hypo feels like. It's bad. You feel confused, you feel shaky, you feel sweaty, you might get a headache, you might feel more agitated than you usually do. I certainly do. Your desire for food, glucose, sugar, anything to make the hypo stop becomes heightened. And the lower that you go, the worse that becomes, as does the confusion and just the awful feeling that you have in your head. You might be scared as well because you don't want to collapse. You don't want to die, obviously. So that's what a hypo feels like. Today, I'm going to tell you about the worst hypo that I ever had. It dates back over 20 years to when I was 19, 18, 19. It was a Monday and I'd had a big weekend with much alcohol, much partying, but I had to go back to work, of course. So I woke up at the usual time, didn't have too much sleep, feeling hungover, didn't eat any food, didn't take a blood glucose test. Got up, jumped in the shower, had a shave, felt awful, couldn't work out what it was, assumed it was just a hangover, just tiredness. Went downstairs, injected insulin, didn't take a blood glucose test again, didn't eat anything, got my stuff, jumped in the car. So the journey to work used to take about 15 or 20 minutes max, I think. Within about 5 minutes of being in the car, I could feel a hypo, and that confusion that I was maybe tired or hungover immediately went out of the window, and I knew I was having an enormous hypo. Fortunately, in my bag, I had some juice boxes, some apple juice boxes, and I just gulped down two of those within seconds, and about half a litres worth of apple juice, assuming that that would help and that I would feel better, as that's what usually happens. Didn't stop the car, continued the journey. Within a minute or two, things had escalated and I knew I was super low. However, I was halfway between home and work. Still assuming I'd be okay. Another juice box out of the bag. I had 4 in the bag. Another juice box out of the bag. Squirted that down my neck. Hoping I was going to feel better. Continued the journey. A lot closer to work this time. I started to get flashing lights. For me, the flashing light stage is the final warning. This is my body saying, you've got to deal with this now. Otherwise, things are going to turn out bad for you. I saw sense. I had enough sense to stop the car, put it out of gear, and that was it. It went black. The curtains came down and I'd collapsed. The next thing that comes to mind, is waking up in hospital. And there was doctors hanging about, nurses, and my family were there by this stage. I'd been unconscious for so long that they'd managed to get me out of the car in an ambulance, get me to hospital, put a glucose line in my arm, get my family to the hospital, and only then did I wake up. So I'd been unconscious a good 1 to 2 hours, I guess. What scares me about that was I could have caused an enormous accident. I didn't stop my car until the last seconds. I had maybe 10 seconds of consciousness left, and then I was gone. I was doing 40 miles an hour at the time before stopping. When I did stop, I believe a policeman pulled me out of the car. He said that I was having a seizure behind the wheel. My feet would jam down hard against the pedals, causing the engine of my car to go ballistic. Smoke was bellowing out of the exhaust, out of the engine. My poor little car at the time, I'm not sure how long it would have stood up to that punishment without something happening, an explosion maybe, I don't know. But fortunately the car was okay in the end, and I had it serviced afterwards, and that was fine. But as I said, what scared me was I could have had an enormous accident. I could have hurt myself or killed myself. I could have hurt somebody else. There were school kids and people walking to work and people commuting to work in their cars. And that was kind of a wake-up call for me, that I've got to stop being stupid. At that stage, I hadn't taken a blood glucose test for 2 years, over 2 years. I had no idea what my blood glucose was at that stage. Now, you could argue that that's just something that happens with teenagers, with young adults who have got this angst and a lot of anger in them because of having type 1 diabetes. And I see that in other younger people, newly diagnosed people. They want to hide. They don't want to do blood glucose tests all the time. They don't want that inconvenience. Well, let me tell you, you will get away with that most times, nearly all of the time. But a hypo only needs to happen once, and it only needs to happen in a situation where you are in your car, or at home alone, or at work alone, or somewhere where nobody can help you, and you're finished. You'll finish up severely unwell, possibly in a coma, and you could die. It's as simple as that. So if you've just been diagnosed, or you've been diagnosed a while, then don't stop taking blood glucose tests. You need to test. You need to check all the time. I know it's annoying. I know it's a pain in the ass. So what are you going to test, or are you just going to gamble with your life? You need to test. So that's all for today. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, leave a comment or like. Hit the sub button, because if you don't, you might miss the next video. I'll see you soon. Bye for now.
For real though.